In the summer of 1918, Harold Calma was a young painter in Houses Rapids, Ontario. At the age of 19, Calma was drafted into the Canadian Expeditionary Force under the Military Service Act of 1917. He refused to sign his attestation papers or be inoculated, since it conflicted with his view of the war as a conscientious objector. A conscientious objector is someone who objects to serving in any armed forces as a matter of conscience. This led to Calma being court-martialed in July of that year. His argument for opposition was the commandment, "Thou shalt not kill." However, the government established the qualifications and statuses of conscientious objectors, meaning they could retract approval at a moment's notice. Calma's status was not recognized, and he was sentenced to life in prison. This was later reduced to 10 years and reduced yet again when he was released in February of 1919 after the end of the war. Not all conscientious objectors went to prison, but many were vilified because their resistance was seen as abandonment to Canadian and Allied soldiers. This sense of division usually meant that conscientious objectors were dealt a difficult hand. For example, when the Wartime Elections Act was instated, it meant that not only recent immigrants, but also conscientious objectors lost their right to vote. If they did vote, they would lose their exemption from the war. Through the Wartime Elections Act, it is estimated that approximately 50,000 Canadians lost their right to vote. It begs to question, why were conscientious objectors forced into service when 400,000 men were registered under conscription? Only 100,000 of those were drafted, and of those 100,000 men, only 24,000 of them served at the front lines. Education about conscription and the role of the conscientious objector is important for Canadians to learn due to its opposition of the country's popular war narrative. It's the story of a people who refuse to yield under threat of persecution in a society constantly looking for justification for its role in the Great War.